Hey there, future self, what is up? It is past Holly here. So, future self, you know me as well as I know me because you are me. So pretty much you know that I'm getting bored and annoyed with telling you my day-to-day life and routine. I think it's boring to watch, I think it's boring to edit, I think it's boring to record. At first I did this, then I did this, then I did that. It's a really awful story and honestly I'm boring myself. What I'm going to start to focus this channel onwards is to kind of focus on cultural differences and comparisons and just kind of my thoughts around it. More about things that I'm learning. Since you are my future self, you already know these things, but these are things that I'm just learning now. I think that'll be more exciting than me saying, first I did this, then I did this, then I did this. So first of all, on the metro and kind of in general, Czech people, they kind of have like a straight face. They don't really smile, and I don't know if it's really that different than in the United States, because in the United States also, it's not like the people just like smile at you on a random basis, but it might be the kind of thing where if you bump into somebody, you know, you might smile and say sorry, or the kind of thing where it's like if you make eye contact with somebody on like the bus, you might like throw a half smile. But I guess here in particular, they really don't smile. The first week that I was here and I would like bump into somebody or make awkward eye contact with somebody, my first instinct is to smile, but they don't really do that here, and I guess they take smiling as sort of like, you know, as meaning something more. Well, especially in the metro, they call it like a metro face. Kind of just means, you know, straight face, don't really smile, just kind of look ahead, not looking anyway. They don't really stare or anything, I think they just kind of don't smile. One of our tour guides the first few days said that's because back in the communist times, there was like secret police around. You don't really know who was part of the secret police and who was not part of the secret police. So your kind of just general reaction was to just not smile at all. Another observation I noticed pretty much kind of right away was headphones. So in the United States, and especially in high school and in college, students are wearing their headphones a lot. Like people wear their headphones to classes, just around, especially if you're on the bus for long periods of time, you wear your headphones. Even in the cars, you see people wearing headphones, which I don't think that's even allowed, but whatever. So as I take the subway back from my job to my apartment every day, I really want to put my headphones in, right? Because it's like a 10 to 15 minute walk to the metro, and then it's another like 10-minute metro ride to my apartment, right? So that kind of takes a long time. And I'm kind of like, okay, I can just sit here in peace and silence, which is fine and works the first few days, but then I'm like, okay, I want to jam out to my music. I was looking around, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to put my headphones in if nobody else was. The first week, I saw like 2 people wearing headphones on the metro, and they were both like under the age of like, I don't know, 18, you know? So I saw 2 students wearing headphones in the metro, but mostly nobody wears headphones when they walk around, when they're on the metro. And I guess that's probably because most people on the metro are going to work, and they are definitely older than I am. So maybe it's just that the population that listens to headphone music is my age and not really 10 years plus older than me. That might be something that I have noticed in the United States too. I'll have to look at that when I get back. I didn't want my headphones if I didn't see anybody else, because that might be kind of weird or considered rude. I wasn't really sure. After seeing some kids did it, I eventually did start wearing my headphones on the metro and walking. And again, not a lot of people do. Some people do, but not a lot. Also, the crosswalks here go really fast. When it's red, it goes tick, 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 tick. And when it's green, it goes tick, 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 tick. That's exactly what it sounds like. In the United States, you know there's a flashing red hand when you gotta hurry up. In Prague, and I also noticed this when I was in Amsterdam this last week also, it's either tick, tick, or tick, 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 and there's no in between. So it's kind of stressful because I walk pretty fast. And even me, walking my pretty decently fast pace, I make it across the street just when it goes from green to red. And I know people back in the United States who walk like much slower than me across the street, and they would not make it across the street here in the Czech Republic before it turns red. And I've kind of come to understand is that even though there's no flashing red telling you to hurry up, it's kind of the thing where it's like, okay, red, don't cross the street, but it's still green, and you're like already on the street and it turns red, like if you're halfway through, just finish up walking on the street. It's kind of the thing where it's like, just don't start walking when it's red, but you can start walking across the street as long as it's still green. Because they give you like another, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds before the cars actually go. So I've lived in 2 apartments so far in my time here. The one that I lived in the first week and the one I live in now. And in both cases, these showers, they go from super hot to freezing in like a little bit of a tap. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme on the internet. This one, I think. It's like, oh, you know, it's hot, so you turn it a little bit to the left, and then it's like freezing cold, and you turn it a little bit, and it's burning hot. Okay, that is true in the United States, but the Czech Republic takes it to a whole nother level, I swear. Oh my gosh, like it's burning hot in one hand. I literally tap it and it's freezing cold. Like there is no in between. Also, like I don't know how, but the shower is set up like a bad design in the apartment that I'm in now, and sometimes I knock my elbow on like the turn knob thing, whatever, and then it changes, and so you know, 1 minute I'm in my nice comfortable temperature, and then I hit it, and then it turns to freezing cold, and I'm like, what the heck here, people? And then I have to go try and, you know, turn it back to how it was, but it's impossible, because again, it goes from burning hot to freezing cold in 2 seconds. Here's another fun little fact. Water bottles are an American thing. I did not know that, and I don't really understand that. How water bottles are just an American thing. I don't mean like plastic water bottles, they use plastic water bottles here, but I mean like reusable containers to, you know, be green. That's an American thing. And I guess one of the interns at one of his internships, they were making fun of him because he had a reusable water bottle. And I was like, what the heck? Okay, so Czech Republic, they really like to recycle here. They recycle a lot, but they don't like reusable water bottles. I don't think I could survive without my reusable water bottle. And let me think, that is one thing that I'm not gonna get rid of just to fit in with the culture. Let me just say, I am getting sick and tired of having to pay for water at restaurants. When I go to a restaurant, I never, ever, ever order a drink. But here, I normally end up ordering a drink because, you know, it's like $3 for water or $3 for like tea or lemonade or, you know, even like beer or wine. If I'm gonna pay $3, I might as well get like an iced tea. So I've had a lot of iced tea these past 3 weeks. I've had more iced tea this past 3 weeks than I've had like ever. Because every time I go out, I'm like, why am I gonna, I'm not gonna pay for water. That just, well, I mean, I do pay for water. Sometimes I ask for tap water, sometimes I try not to get a drink, but we were in Amsterdam and I said I did not want a drink. And she was like, in order to eat here, you have to buy a drink. And I was like, I don't want a drink. That is one thing I'd be extremely thankful for, is being able to order water without having to pay for anything. Be able to order not a drink, you know, freedom. America, land of the free, where you can not order a drink if you don't want a drink. I'm literally sick of paying for drinks. Well, because then it adds like $4 to your meal. Like no, I'll just go. Also, just an observation, in the workplace and at grocery stores, I feel so less confident in myself when I have no idea what everyone else is saying. I was at the grocery store the other day, like I do, right? And I don't speak Czech, but I had to go check out. And the lady who was talking to me in Czech, she said something to me and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Czech, whatever, you know, the huge. And then she just nods, okay, you know, whatever. She just has to scan my stuff and pay. That's all, it's really not that hard. But then she makes a comment to the person who is in line behind me, I'm pretty sure about me not being able to speak Czech. Because the person in line behind me just kind of like smiled or whatever. I don't know, kind of like a joke. Probably it's like, oh, you know, silly Americans. I'm sorry I don't speak Czech, but like, I've never felt so powerless. And when that happens, I just kind of feel really small. I'm just kind of like, yeah. But it definitely helps create a kind of understanding, I guess. For my alternative break trip in the spring, we did refugee awareness, and obviously a lot of those people didn't exactly speak English all that well, and so we kind of had to use, you know, pointing verbal cues. And now that I have been in the position where they did not speak English and I do not speak Czech, I really understand how like powerless and defenseless you actually feel when you don't understand what the other person is saying. I felt like I dropped like 10 years. You know, like I'm going back down to like when I was like 6 and I didn't understand what the adults were saying or whatever. And it feels like kind of the same sort of thing. Here's something that happened to me last week, but I forgot to put in my week 2 vlog. I was walking in the park and I saw somebody with a sweatshirt of the college that I go to, and I did not say hi, and I was really upset at myself. I couldn't convince myself in time because he kind of turned and we were walking in opposite directions, and I looked and it was blue and it had my college initials, you know, and I was like, wait a minute, and then he walked behind me, and then I walked past with some friends, right, and then we walked past him, and I wasn't able to convince myself in time to turn around and say hello, but I really wish I would have, because like we're both here halfway across the world, And you know, obviously we're both with different programs because he's not in my program. No, in my college does have an internship program that goes here kind of, but it's kind of through a different program also, so it's not exactly through the college directly, so we're both kind of through different programs. And I should have said hi, and I was really bummed at myself, so no, I'm really hoping I see that person again, so I can say, hey, I am from that college. It was really cool, but I should have said hey, and then I felt bad, but you know. Another thing is that some people in my program, they got a SIM card for here. I did not get a SIM card for the Czech Republic. I just kind of paid through Verizon for an extra like $30 or $40 a month, and they kind of, that way I like keep my saved number and stuff like that, and you know, I get a certain amount with it. Whatever, you know the deal. But some people got a new SIM card, right? And this is what was funny. They were complaining that they only have 3 gigs a month for themselves with their phone plan here. And they were like, oh, I guess it'll be okay. You know, I'll just like turn cellular off every time I'm at home. I'll only have it on when I go out and about. And I was in shock. And let me tell you why I'm in shock with that. It's like, okay, my family, for us 3, has 4 gigs a month. If I had 3 gigs a month to myself, I'd be watching like YouTube and stuff like that. They probably all have like unlimited data or something like that, because like you can survive off of 3 gigs a month, no problem. Here in Czech Republic, I only have 100 megabytes for the entire month. So I've been here for about 3 weeks, and I've only used 20 megabytes for those 3 weeks. And let me tell you how. First of all, I only have cellular data on when I really truly need it. As in, it's off all of the time, and I only have it on when I actually need it. Like, I specifically turn it on every time I need it. And they were like, the people in my program were like, oh, you know, I guess I'll have it off when we're at Wi-Fi. Like, bro, when you have Wi-Fi, just set everything to only using Wi-Fi. Why even have cellular data on when you have Wi-Fi? I don't know. Honestly, I am shocked that they thought that they didn't understand how they could use only 3 gigs a month. They can do that no problem. The guy who's in charge of me at my internship location, he is Czech. His name is Uri, which I guess is a pretty common Czech name. I think it means Jerry in English, but pretty much he speaks Czech, and he also speaks English, obviously. His English is good, but it's kind of interesting though, because his English, it's very flat, if you know what I mean. When I talk right now, I have variations in my speech tones, and I go higher and lower, you know, kind of depending, because I think that how you talk, like just like the attitude, you know, the different higher and lowers of your speech, you can kind of figure out what people are saying. If I were to ask you a question, I would say it differently. Like, you know, oh, how are you today? That was a question. And I would be different than if I were to say, like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. What game is that? Is that the game Moods? You know the game Moods, where it's like you have a card and you have to like say it with like a different reaction or a different mood? That's how speech is, and I feel like that's how we understand a lot of speech, by the ups and downs of our voices. However, Uri, he's a very flat talker. And by a flat talker, I mean, let me like find something to read here. So this is just something that I posted on Facebook back on March 23rd after taking my camera out to take pictures. So for some reason, the way that Uri would read it, and then read it the way that I normally read it. Now note that Uri also has an accent, so that might make it a little more difficult. I don't have an accent, but you know, it's there. What a beautiful day. Take my camera out and go for a hike through the ravines. The river was so pretty and the weather was fantastic. Here's a few of my favorite pictures that we took. Yay, spring. I just feel like that's how Uri talks now. It's kind of all one very flat tone. And like if I were to read this, I would read it as more like this. What a beautiful day. Take my camera out and go for a hike through the ravines. The river was so pretty and the weather was fantastic. Here's a few of my favorite pictures that we took. Hashtag yay spring. So he's a very flat talker, which makes it really actually kind of hard to understand. And I only know if he's asking me a question or if he's saying a joke by kind of what follows. Like he says a sentence and then he kind of like, you know, cracks a smile or like, you know, might like giggle a little bit or like laugh or look at me with a questioning look. And I really rely on those facial expressions to kind of tell me, to kind of get the context of what he's saying. He doesn't really make those facial expressions when he's actually talking. So it's like I look at his face so hard and I try to focus on what he's saying, but it's like I really don't comprehend the context or if he's asking a question, making an observation, telling me a story, until normally after he's done saying it when he like, you know, cracks a smile or something like that. And I realize that I need people to have fluctuations in their voice in order for me to understand them to the best of my ability. Also, we went to the zoo last weekend, which was really cool. It's actually a really cool zoo. There was this like one exhibit and there's like these bats and they can like escape the cage and like fly all around it. They literally flew like right over our heads, right beside us. It was actually really cool, the bats. It's a nice zoo. I guess the Prague Zoo is very good. It's huge also, and they have a lift that goes up. I wish we could have taken the lift, but you know, it costs money or whatever. Another couple differences I've noticed in terms of ice cream. I really haven't had ice cream that much, and I think that like the 2 times I've had ice cream, I've noticed this thing. So first of all, when we were at the zoo, I went last in our group, like 4 or whatever. The first couple people, they asked for a swirl ice cream cone. You know, chocolate and vanilla. It's a swirl. That's what we call it. However, the first person that asked that, the attendant or the person selling us the ice cream, looked at us and she was really confused. And then the person said chocolate and vanilla, and then she was like, oh, mix. When I went up, I told her that I wanted a mixed ice cream cone, because apparently that's what they call it. They call it a mixed ice cream as opposed to a swirl ice cream. Another thing I noticed is that when I was in Amsterdam this past weekend, I asked for a sample of ice cream, you know, to like try it and to see if I like it. And I asked for a sample, and she looked at me, the person who was behind the counter, and she was like, you want to try it? And I was like, yes. So they don't call it, I'd like to have a sample of ice cream, it's I'd like to try the ice cream. Just little differences, and I didn't really consider swirl or a sample to be American cultural terms. It seems kind of general and straightforward to me, and in both instances, they could understand what we meant, they just used a different term for it. Also, I did go to Amsterdam this past weekend, and Amsterdam was gorgeous, it was beautiful. The only thing I did not like about it was that they really hype up the whole like marijuana and smoking weed culture there. It's very annoying, honestly. Now, I am very much of a you do you type person, but like there was so much weed everywhere and I was just like dying on the inside, coughing it out. And they had it like everywhere, and it was just like Amsterdam, and have, you know, like the little like plant symbol, and there would be bikes and they have like the plant symbol in the bikes, and it was everywhere, and I was just like, no. Also in Amsterdam, there were bikes everywhere. Amsterdam is actually really different than Prague, and I don't think I realized how different European cities could be until I went to Amsterdam, and I was like, shoot, they bike everywhere. It's kind of like Mackinac Island, but more bikes. In Amsterdam, the cars park right alongside the like rivers or the canals, you know? There's not even like a bar in between where the cars park and the canal. So the cars park here, and then the canal and the drop is like right here, and they're like that far away, and there's no bar or anything. One of our tour guides said that about 10 cars fall into the canals per year, which is less than I would have thought, but that's still a lot. And imagine you're just driving one day and then crash. That just sounds awful. Like, I wonder if they have like canal insurance in Amsterdam. Car crashing into a canal insurance. But they do bike everywhere, which is really cool. And honestly, I would love to be in a place where I could bike everywhere. What I also learned from traveling to Amsterdam is that I need to live in a place that has water. And I don't think I realized how much I really enjoy water and being around water until I came here to Prague. And don't get me wrong, Prague does have a river, and I actually cross the river every single day to go to my job, but I crossed the river in the subway, so I didn't actually see the river, so I'm kind of under the river. But I really enjoy water. I guess living in Michigan, everywhere you go, there's water, and I'm pretty sure there's like literally probably a lake no less than 5 miles in any direction in Michigan. And I learned that I would want to live in a place that has water. Well, I didn't realize how much I missed water until I was in Amsterdam and there was water everywhere, and I was like, oh my gosh, water, bridges, like this is so cool. Prague doesn't really have water or bridges everywhere. Again, there's a river, but I can go a week without seeing the river, even though I crossed it every day. Also, what was different is that in Amsterdam, we got a card to use the public transportation for 2 days, and in Amsterdam, you have to scan your card every time you go in and out of the tram, or every time you go in and out of the metro. There's a place to scan your card. And in the trams even, there's even a person at a desk in the middle of the tram making sure you scan your card. In Prague, I haven't had to show my card or my metro pass or my public transportation pass to anybody while being here. They just kind of assume that you have it. I guess there's security that walks around, but unless they tap you and ask you to show your pass to them, you don't really ever need it, and it's probably possible to get by in Prague without buying a metro pass, as long as you don't get caught. But if you get caught, then it's a huge fine, so just don't get caught. But it's different how in Amsterdam, you do have to scan it every time you go in and out. Amsterdam is super expensive, Very expensive. It was a lot of fun, but it was super expensive. It's a lot more expensive than Prague. I got this bracelet. I loved this bracelet when I was in Amsterdam. I also got a gold and white one for the total of like $4. We did take a canal tour, which was pretty cool, although I've been on boats before, so it wasn't anything that special, but it was kind of cool. We went to a couple of flea markets, which is where I got this bracelet actually. It's a very nice bracelet. I love flea markets. Flea markets are a lot of fun. We got some cheese. Apparently cheese is very big there. We tried these stroop waffles, which I've had before. They actually sell them at Trader Joe's, but I think that they're cheaper in Amsterdam because that's where they're from. They're Danish or something like that. So I guess about my internship, I still haven't done a lot in my internship. They gave me the camera, and I've been working with the camera. I went out and I took pictures with the person who I'm working with. Again, it's kind of a lot of freedom, and I don't really, it's like they're not giving me strict deadlines, which kind of makes me not want to do it at all. So future self, these are things that I learned this past week and that you now know or already know. It's very interesting to see the cultural differences, and I'm sure I'll talk about them more as we go along here. So thanks so much for watching For Yourself. Have a great week.